What can the Blazers expect from Scoot Henderson going into his second year in the NBA? What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a great day so far. Today we are going to be talking all things Scoot Henderson and what I think the Blazers and the fans can realistically expect from him this season. Before the video gets started, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please make sure to do so, as we are closing in on 1,000 subscribers and it would really mean a lot. Maybe you've seen one of my videos before, maybe you've seen something else I've posted but just haven't subscribed yet, and so make sure to do that before the video gets started, and comment below letting me know what you think about Scoot Henderson and what your hopes are for his sophomore season. With all that out of the way though, let's just jump right into the video. Now, Scoot Henderson, there's no better way to say it except for the fact that he had an underwhelming rookie season where a lot of people were disappointed in how he played. Scoot Henderson was seen essentially as Damian Lillard's replacement, and he seemed to be the surefire point guard of the future for this Blazers team, but a lot of fans have doubts. Even general manager Joe Cronin went on to say that he is, quote, not your average 19-year-old, end quote, after they drafted him last year.
In regards especially to Scoot as a 19-year-old, he's not your normal 19-year-old. This is a special player that is, of course, going to need some time to adjust to the NBA, but he's already been playing professionally for 2 years. He's uber talented.
Now, all that put a lot of pressure on Scoot Henderson, and so as he went into his rookie season, there were a lot of people that even had hopes that he might be able to win Rookie of the Year over guys like Victor Wembanyama. So safe to say the bar was set pretty high and everyone was watching him. So when Scoot Henderson averaged 9.2 points, 4.2 assists, and 2.7 rebounds in his first 10 games of the season, while only shooting 22% from the three-point line and 34% from the field, a lot of fans started to have their doubts. It was around this time that jokes on Twitter started to come out that Scoot Henderson was a bust, Scoot Henderson was a wasted draft pick, but even in that moment, a lot of people still agreed that that was a bit too soon and that you gotta give Scoot a bit more time. As if you look back at NBA history, it's not uncommon for rookie point guards to come into the league and struggle a bit. Even guys like Russell Westbrook, Darius Garland, and De'Aaron Fox were all guys who came in their rookie season and either shot the ball poorly or just didn't average as many points as you would have liked them to, but then went on to be all-stars on their rookie contract. Now, does that mean that Scoot Henderson's gonna follow in their footsteps? Not necessarily, as even though those are outliers and guys have done that before, there's still a handful of guards who came into the NBA and ended up becoming busts and just weren't able to put it all together. Plenty of guys were never able to pan out and are out of the league. Look at guys like Killian Hayes, who was drafted 7th overall in 2020 but was just released this last year. He barely made it to the end of the rookie contract before he was totally written off by the NBA and is now currently playing with the Brooklyn Nets. However, Scoot Henderson gave a lot of promise at the end of his rookie season, where in the last 10 games he averaged 18.6 points, 8.4 assists, and 3.5 rebounds, shooting much better than he was at the start of the season. And I think that gives us fans a lot of hope as he goes into his second season. And so we've seen flashes of both sides. We've seen Scoot Henderson start off the year rough and have some poor shooting nights, but then we've seen stretches where he really does look like the guy that everyone was hoping for when Portland drafted him. A point guard of the future who is quick on his feet, can get to the basket, can draw a lot of fouls and get to the free throw line, but just struggled a little bit with shooting. And so I think the question to figuring out which side of that spectrum, or even in the middle, that Scoot Henderson's going to land on hinges a lot on his second year. Now, this will be the first time that we actually get to watch Scoot Henderson play basketball for the Blazers after a full offseason under his belt. Whereas even when he got drafted last year, if you don't recall, he only played one half of a summer league game before he went out with an injury. So he obviously couldn't have a full offseason under his belt as he was still recovering from that injury. And I think it's going to be very beneficial for Scoot Henderson to be able to look back at some of his rookie year footage and really be able to break down what parts of his NBA game need improvement the most. He also will have had a full offseason without any injury and being under NBA training, and considering how he ended off last season, I think the bar is still set pretty high for him this year. And so that leads me to the question of the video: what can the Blazers expect from Scoot Henderson in his second year in the NBA? I think the biggest question and debate amongst fans even is, will Scoot Henderson start? Now, personally, I think Scoot Henderson's going to be your starting point guard on night one alongside Anthony Simons. I know a lot of fans think it would be horrendous to not start Shaedon Sharpe, but you gotta remember that Shaedon Sharpe is coming off of a core surgery that's put him out most of the last 8 months. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they want to bring him off the bench the first few games and just sort of ramp him up to NBA level competition. And so regardless of if he comes off the bench for a few games or not, I think a realistic expectation would be that around that halfway mark of the season, Scoot Henderson is just too good to come off the bench, and he's your starting point guard on a night-to-night basis. As far as stats go, my expectations are that by the end of the season, Scoot Henderson is able to average somewhere in the ballpark of 16 points, 5.5 assists, and 3 rebounds on good efficiency. This last season, he just came shy of averaging 49% true shooting percentage, and so I'd love to see him bump that up to at least a 52% by the end of the year. I think that would just show that all those areas that Scoot struggled in as far as his shooting and driving, fouling, and turnovers are all things that he's improved on, and so if he can up that true shooting percentage to at least a little bit below league average, then I think that would be a huge win for him. Like I said before, this is the big year to figure out which side of the spectrum Scoot Henderson lies on. Will he become an all-star one day, or is he just going to be a bust? And so I think it's realistic to expect that by the end of the season, the Blazers have a good idea that Scoot Henderson is indeed the point guard of the future. I also expect that this year, Scoot Henderson and Shane Sharp and Donovan Clingan can all spend a lot of time on the floor together and develop some chemistry. If by the end of the season, Scoot Henderson, Shane Sharp, and Donovan Clingan all work really well together, I think it's also realistic to expect that by the end of the season, you can see that the NBA game has clearly slowed down for Scoot Henderson and that he just has a better grasp on it as a whole. And if his playmaking overall goes up and he's making better choices on when to drive to the basket versus when to pass versus when to shoot a three-point shot, then I think that would give a lot of hope to fans that he really can develop into the point guard of the future for this team. In conclusion, my expectations for Scoot Henderson is that by the end of the season, he's too good to not be your starting point guard. He's averaging somewhere around 16 points, 5.5 assists, and 3 rebounds on at least 52% true shooting. The Portland Trailblazers organization is confident that he's the point guard of the future, and he developed some good team chemistry with guys like Shane Sharp, Denny Avdia, and Donovan Clingan. And hey, who knows, maybe he ends up winning Most Improved Player of the Year, you never know. So make sure to comment below and let me know what your expectations are from Scoot Henderson going into year 2. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out of here as we are nearing in on 1,000 subscribers and it would really mean a lot. With that said, that's all I have for you guys. Thanks again so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.